the Lord who redeemed them. Now, when the last plague, the 10th plague, 10 in the Bible is often a symbol of completeness. It's often a symbol of the total fulfillment of God's plan or God's promises. So you can look at it as fulfillment of God's promises, the fulfillment of God's plan, the completeness of God's workings. The 10 Commandments is a good example. That's the completeness of God's plan. He reveals to us that He is loving and just. First 4 commandments reveal what it's like to love God. The last 6 commandments, what it's like to love our fellow man. The completeness of love is revealed in the 10 commandments. The completeness of God's perfect judgments are revealed in the plagues. So we come to the last plague, and as we look at that plague, the slaying of the firstborn, we pointed out in our last lesson that God was judging the gods of Egypt. He was showing their folly and their powerlessness. Isis, for example, the god of fertility, and Hekwit and Min, the gods of childbirth. And Israel, firstborn, had been slain in Exodus 1. But now God is showing that He is more powerful than all of the gods of Egypt. After the slaying of the firstborn, we read in Exodus chapter 12, verse 31 to verse 36. Exodus chapter 12, verse 31 to verse 36. And he, that is Pharaoh, calls for Moses, and Aaron bondage, in tens of thousands of Israelites die, hundreds of thousands die in the bondage of Egypt. God had made a promise. He was going to lead them to the promised land. Here, in the note in our lesson, it says, Pharaoh says, bless me when you leave, but get out of here, go, or else. And the Egyptians say, we're all going to be dead. But notice this interesting note. Second paragraph under Sunday's lesson. Why would he, the king of Egypt, a God on the earth among his people, ask that God bless him? It sounds as if he's finally catching on to the power of the Hebrew God and would like to benefit from it. However, how can God bless him while he's steeped in rebellion, stubbornness, sin, and pride? Sure, he finally gave his consent, but it wasn't out of submission to the will of Yahweh. It was instead out of defeat. He wasn't repentant, as his later actions will reveal. He simply wanted to stop the devastation that was destroying his kingdom. Sure, he wasn't repentant because he sent his armies after them to destroy them. How can we ask God to bless us if indeed we are steeped in rebellion, stubbornness, and sin? Some people knowingly violate God's will. Knowingly, in which you came out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by the strength of